In this video, we're going to walk through some of the functionality and features of Weebly, which is a cloud-based web editor. And this tool will allow students to develop plausible narratives and illustrate what they know, but also allow teachers a lot of flexibility for providing content, providing resources in certain ways, in specific ways. So there's a great deal of both teacher-centered and student-centered uses of Weebly. So here is the login interface, and I have just used my LastPass plugin here and auto-populated the username and password. LastPass is another tool that we will explore in this book. And you can also log in with your Facebook or Google login credentials as well. So I'm going to log in and I'm taken to a dashboard immediately. Now, all of my sites, if I click on this drop down arrow here, I have all of these sites that I've created. I can simply add a new site here. And then I have other sites that people have shared with me. So if I was collaborating with some colleagues or if I wanted to supervise student work, I could have them automatically share those with me. But I'm just going to work on the one that's already checkmarked here. And you can see some interesting things, some information about how many unique visitors you've had, how many page views this week. This one hasn't really been published very much, so there isn't really a great deal of interaction with that site. So I'm going to go to Edit Site, and I'm taken to the interface for modifying and creating websites. So the tabs that I have that are important are Build, Pages, Theme. We're not going to worry about the store or the apps, although those may be useful for some of you. And then the settings. Those are the key features that I'm going to explore today. Now, the build is working with individual pages. So any page that you have, you want to make modifications to, you will select the page on the Pages tab, and then select the build option. And if we roll over to the left, you see all of the basic functionality, and all of this is drag and drop. And I would simply drag and drop the content that I want to put into my site from here. So if I wanted to put a title, for example, let me scroll down a little bit here. I could drag this in here and it will add the title in a place there. I could go in and modify this. I can move it around by dragging and dropping. If I click on it, I get my basic formatting tools. So I can change the font color, size, all of those things. And then modify as I see need. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. I have text, which is what was done here. Same thing. I get my basic text features. Images, which was what was done here. If I drag and drop this image item here, it will ask me to upload an image. So sort of like doing an attachment. I can do some of the others are a gallery. So if I wanted to include a collection of images, a slideshow, again, kind of a collection of images that users can navigate through, a map, a contact form, a newsletter, a button, or embed code. So if you were familiar with HTML code, you could simply drag this in and create custom HTML for various functionality that you wanted unique to your particular project. So it's a nice little feature. Then we have dividers, so just for organizational purposes. You have spacers. As far as media goes, you can add HD video or audio with upgrades. So what I will typically do is create audio, upload to Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, and then link to it. I might put some embed code here so I have an audio player, and do the same thing with the video. I may upload it to YouTube and then just link directly to that YouTube feature here. The scribed document is nice. You can embed a document. So if I drag and drop here, you see that there's a blank document there. I just simply upload the document and it would be embedded there. So if I wanted to provide some instructions, some guidance, a worksheet, a sources file, anything like that, I can embed that into the web page. So that's a nice feature. And then we're not going to worry in files as well. You have some Flash, you have some YouTube videos you can simply embed into the page as well. We have quotes, social icons, so Facebook, Twitter, etc. RSVP forms, surveys, which could be useful for various situations. And then I'm not going to worry about AdSense or Google, but then you can also install additional apps, which we're not going to go into for time's sake, but those are options for you. So you can then move, it's very easy to move content around, to add content, delete content, update content, all extremely easy to do with this drag and drop interface. So now when we go to pages, I see here very simply the 5 pages that are listed, and you notice them on the navigation menu here. So for this, I can add new pages. If I click on a page, I can change the page name. I can change the type. So this one here has a tall header, which is this big header here, whereas some of the others have no headers, and we'll look at that in a moment. Visibility, so is this page visible in the to the public, or do I have like a privacy password settings or something along those lines? And then search engine optimization settings as well. So how search engines use this information to access your page. I could copy this page or I could delete this page. So I'm going to go down just to library resources here, and we see here this is a short header, so there's a small header here. Visibility, all these are the same. And go back here. One thing that's neat is you can see the home button here is this. So whenever people go access the web URL, they're going to come to this home page specifically. Another thing I can do here is like I can drag this in. So if I wanted to create cascading menus, so you'll notice now that those have been removed from the web navigation menu, but they're now sub-menus of the archives page. So if I wanted to separate by class or those sorts of things, so period 1, period 2, or different types of courses, I can do that and then provide collections of information to targeted classes. I can make the pages public only to a certain class, etc. So there's a lot of functionality in organizing and allowing targeted groups to see specific content. And again, I can copy and paste. So if I had this page and I wanted a second version of it, I could simply copy it and then modify the content that I wanted, give it a different page name, etc. So themes, I can modify the theme, the general theme. So there are tons and tons, as you can see, different types of themes here that I could go with. And close that. And then I can change the fonts, the theme primary colors. I can change the background. I can change the theme options. So search box, social icons, etc. I could edit the HTML or CSS very easily as well. So if you have that sort of skill, then you can go in and modify very targeted pieces of information, your heading levels, those sorts of things. So those are the key functionality of web authoring tools. And then when we get into the settings, this will allow us to look at some other things. So here I have set up Emerge Tech 2020 UCF.weebly.com as my site address. So when I publish it, that's where I will go to access it. But if I wanted to change it, I could very easily do that by clicking here. As an upgrade, I could purchase a name, a URL without the .weebly. So if I wanted to say drh.com, I could go in and it would say I could purchase that if it were available. I have the site title, and do you want that title to be shown at the top of your pages? So I do in this case, so you can see it's selected. And then I can have what type of site it is. Usually I would change this to personal, maybe other for education, etc. Make sure you save. Mobile, so you're going to optimize the site for mobile devices. I don't really modify the favicon. I don't have a site password, but you can. And then if you get a ton of pages and they won't fit on the menu, you'll see a page, a link that says more, and then that gives you a drop-down menu of all the additional pages. So that's checked here in case we create too many. An archive is nice because if you're having students work on something and maybe they delete something accidentally, if you have this archive here, you can go back to a previous version. Site formatting, and then cookie notifications. We're going to fly through some of these other things. Search engine optimization, so giving keywords, site descriptions, etc. So search engines can access it if you want them to. editors. So this is a nice tool for collaborating. So you can click on Added Editor, just as many as you want. They all have admin features, so that you can upgrade to where they only have dashboard or authoring privileges. But right now, if you want the free version, then you have to give them admin permissions. And then this is useful for if as a teacher you can kind of manage all of the sites and see that who's doing what and that sort of thing. Members, you can add members to your site. And then you can also create a blog. So you might have your students have a blog for each of their site, maybe have a class blog with individual groups of students or individual students managing that blog from week to week and modifying that. And then once I'm done with everything, I'm just going to publish it. So and then as simple as that. So now I simply click on the URL. I could share this with somebody. I can kind of run through my pages. If I see something I want to change, I can simply go back to Weebly. I can unpublish it. So if I go to my settings, general, and down at the bottom I can unpublish the site, and that way if I'm working on it or if I just don't want people to see it at any particular given point in time, I can just unpublish it. So that is Weebly. I hope you found it useful, and it's a great tool for supporting particularly the latter phases of the Sources framework.